但是，五、四、三、二、
1。Hi, I'm Katrin, reporter for CGTN. I'm from Switzerland and I moved to China in 2016. Welcome to Lhasa. Take a look outside at the strong colors and the crisp air. The air is quite thin, I can already feel it. My heart is pumping really fast and I can feel that I have to get into turtle mode, take it easy, take it slow. So bear with me when I'm not talking as fast as usual. So we're off to an incredible 12-day trip to the Tibet Autonomous Region. And we're gonna take you with us. As I said, I'm Katrin. Please meet also Jingxi behind the camera.
Hi.
Wouldn't be possible without him. We're 8 people in total from CGTN English and also 2 colleagues from CGTN America. We're going to Lhasa first, where we're spending 2 days to get accustomed to the height there. Lhasa is about 3,600 meters high, so it's very high. It's higher than I'm accustomed to, higher than usual. You can see there are mountains literally everywhere. When we were coming with the plane from Beijing, as soon as we descended down to Lhasa, we could see mountains and valleys. You're landing on a different planet when you're coming from Beijing. And I'm so excited for this trip. I'm so excited to take you with us. So what are we going to do during this trip? I'm presenting you all the highlights of this trip right now. So we focus on 3 aspects: culture, the people's livelihoods and the infrastructure, and also the nature, of course, the ecological environment here. So first of all, culture. Tibet is a place of numerous intangible cultural heritage sites, starting with Lhasa, the Potala Palace, the temples that we can visit here. These all are witnesses of the long and rich culture and religion in Tibet. And I'm excited to visit them and to present them to all of you. We're also going to visit a lot of bazaars where we're going to discover handicraft, local handicraft like Tibetan paper making, incense, and also wood crafting. You're going to see the traditional costumes here, the traditional music. Apart from culture, we're also going to see how the locals here and the governments work together to protect the environment, the precious landscape, and the animals and flora and fauna present here. We are very, very lucky, extremely lucky that we can go to a nature reserve, a huge national nature reserve, where we're going to speak to the people who try to protect the endangered species of the Tibetan antelope. I'm very curious to see how they will do that and to take you with me and show you, maybe get a sight of a Tibetan antelope and see how they protect this endangered endangered and special species. We're also going to visit lakes. We're going to see how the birds mitigate here, how they protect the different bird species. Obviously, Tibet has breathtaking landscapes. I think you can already see right now we're about to drive into a tunnel in front of us, just right through the mountains into the black hole. It goes on like this: mountains, tunnels, trees. And we're on a highway right now. And this is also going to be one of our highlights. We're actually going to the Tibet-Qinghai National Highway. It's also called the China National 109 Highway. It's called one of the most dangerous roads in the world. I'm thrilled to discover this road. At this point, we will climb up to 5,000 meters already above sea level. There seems to be a lot of traffic here. A little roadside construction. I think we're going to spend a lot of time driving during this trip. I've heard that sometimes 3-4 hours per day, sometimes up to 8 hours per day, because we're not only staying in Lhasa, we're going to the deepest Tibetan autonomous region hinterland, to Nachu country and 5 other counties. So we will be driving a lot, but we will also be, of course, out and about, talking to the locals, talking to the local governments, and see how they, change the environment here, change people's livelihoods. I'm very excited, for example, to visit schools, hospitals, farms. For example, one is a vocational school where people can learn practical skills such as technical skills, or other skills that are much needed actually right now in China's economy. And there's a school here that trains the local people, young people who want to have a professional vocational education. So we're going to visit a school. We're going to visit a second school, which is very special because it's an online classroom. The online classroom we're going to visit is a collaboration between Hangzhou. Hangzhou is an eastern Chinese city. It's not that far from Shanghai, and it's the seat of the world famous internet giant Alibaba. It's a very, very advanced city in China, technologically spoken. And so in Hangzhou, they created a classroom interconnected with a Tibetan classroom where they will exchange material, teach each other, learn from each other through the internet. So this is going to be exciting to see how they do that. I wonder, how they will be able to exchange ideas, to learn from each other over the internet. And then we're also going to visit farms, so to see how they do advanced farming here in Tibet. And I feel this is going to be very interesting. Why? Because as you can see right now, the landscape is quite dry. So because we're such a high altitude, the trees are quite sparse, the vegetation is quite sparse. So I was still able to see some crops, but I think they need to have a lot of irrigation. If they do farming here, there must be a lot of challenges if you want to have a high farming output at such a high altitude. Very excited to discover that, to learn how farming is possible in this mountainous region. Tibet is also called the world's highest plateau. It is the highest plateau in the world, the roof of the world. It's going to be unique to see how people live here, how they make a living, how they improve their lives. Of course, there's still a lot of poverty here in the region. The local government is working together with the locals to alleviate the poverty here. we will focus on this trip, especially on disadvantaged women, so women from disadvantaged communities. At some point, we'll be able to speak to an NGO who will help the women get out of poverty. I'm very curious to see, what are their concrete efforts and why women are in especially precarious situations sometimes in compared to the men. As you can see outside, the mountains are everywhere. The mountains are very high. We are only at 3,600 meters right now, but I already feel a little bit, lighthearted. I feel like a little bunny who's run too fast, even though I'm not even doing anything. I'm just sitting here. But there's some Chinese medicine, Tibetan medicine actually, that you can take in preparation if you ever go to Tibet. It's called Hong Qing Tian in Chinese and the rhodiola flower extract in English. I started to take this twice a day, 5 capsules a day, 2 weeks ago. It was actually recommended to me by a friend, and I don't know if it helps. I guess I'll see. But because it's from a local plant, I believe it can have an impact in your body. I will update you later on my health status. It's actually something I'm a little bit afraid of. I'm a Swiss person, so it means I spent my childhood, I spent my youth climbing mountains, the Swiss Alps. But my maximum altitude was maybe 2,500 meters. Maybe when I went skiing in the winter, it was up to 3,000 meters, but rarely. I think the maximum for me was 2,700 meters or so. And now we're already 1,000 meters above that level. So I'm a little bit, anxious how my body will react when we move even further up to 4,800 meters, which will be our maximum height. I've heard people getting headaches, getting sick, having problems to sleep at night, even getting a fever. And I think when you get a fever, you need to get checked by a doctor. You need to go to hospital, maybe descend a little bit, don't stay at the same height. I don't hope this will happen to me. I don't hope it will happen to anyone of our team, but we're prepared for that, of course. And yes, it's something you have to be aware of and consider when you travel to Tibetan regions. But of course, there are many things I'm looking forward to. On my bucket list are, for example, I have to try yak milk. I heard it's a little sour, so I'm very curious, and I really want to try that. I also want to meet the locals, talk to the locals, try if I can can learn some Tibetan. Oh, this is our driver, by the way, over here. He's taking us, I think, all the way on this 12-day trip. He can speak Mandarin Chinese, and he was so kind to teach me one word in Tibetan already. It's called the Tu Ji Jie. Tu Ji Jie means thank you in Tibetan, and I think I'm going to use that word a lot while I'm here, and I hope to learn some more Tibetan. Just look at these colors. Oh, and take a look at the lake over here. I'm not sure if it's a lake or if it's a dam. I think it's probably a dam. It looks like they may be doing some electricity here. Not sure. A lot of horses as well. I think you can do horse riding here. Discover the landscape by horse. What strikes me a lot are the colors. The blue of the sky against this grayish light brown of the earth and the green of the trees. It gives a nice contrast. Yeah, if you look from above, as an aerial view, it's just endless mountains. And no people. Yeah, no people. Sparse buildings here and there, sparse fields of crops, some trees, some flowers, some lakes, some rivers. It's my first time that I've been to the western part of China. And the western part of China is a lot less densely populated than the east. So in Beijing, Shanghai, all these regions, there are a lot of people cramped into the city. I live in Beijing. I take the subway every day when I go to work. Sometimes I feel like a sardine in a little box. There are a lot of people. You get used to it, but I enjoy it a lot to just feel that I'm like out in the nature, almost nobody else besides me. And yeah, in the western part of China is there where you can enjoy less people, less densely populated areas, less crowded areas, and just take in the view, take in the nature, take in the landscape. What is my personal mission for this trip? I have one question. I'm asking myself, what is Tibet today? How is Tibet today? Obviously, Tibet Autonomous Region has changed a lot over the past 70 years since the founding of the People's Republic of China. There's been a lot of modernity that has come to China. At various costs, but there's been a lot of development, a lot of tourism, a lot of economic development here in the region. I wonder how it has affected the people that live here. What are the opportunities and maybe what are the challenges of such a development? So my question is going to be for this trip, how is Tibet? What is Tibet today, in this day and age? As I'm taking you on this ride from the airport to Lhasa, I also want to ask you, do you have any questions for me? What do you want to know about Tibet? What do you want to know, to learn about this region? Or do you have any specific questions or tips for me? Please leave them down in the comment section, or you can also write me an email. So my email address is this one, Katrin Büchenbacher at CGTN.com. If you have any specific questions for me that I can answer for you, please write me a mail or just leave a comment down below. I will do my best to answer all of your questions in the next live stream. And maybe pursue some of your tips that you have if you've already been to the Tibetan Autonomous Region. Okay, have we already arrived in Lhasa? No, I don't think so, but we're on the way. And we're seeing more and more buildings here. These are residential blocks and they look a lot like, residential blocks you could find in the suburbs or the outskirts of any big city in China, like Beijing or Shanghai. There's a bus stop here, so it means there's public transport. You can probably take the bus outside here from Lhasa. And there's a Ferris wheel over there. I'm not sure if it's a small amusement park. Maybe it's a hotel, a tourist resort. Because obviously the Tibetan Autonomous Region has drawn huge flocks of tourists from the inland, domestic tourists. and international tourists alike. Okay. Goodbye, everyone. Please stay tuned to CGTN for further updates and our future live streams from Tibet, from our trip here. Incredible trip, 12 days through Tibet. We'll be live streaming very, very regularly and keep you updated on everything that we'll do, everything that we'll visit. So follow CGTN for more updates of me discovering Tibet for the very first time. See you next time. Goodbye.